As we wait for special counsel Robert Mueller to deliver his report on Russian election meddling, there are growing demands for full disclosure.
Whether the report exonerates the president, implicates the president, or somewhere in between, the American people deserve transparency.
Ian Pryor is a former principal deputy director of public affairs at the Justice Department, and I saw you on Outnumbered the other day, and I thought maybe we should get him here because you have expertise. So I wanted to ask you about what you read in the tea leaves. Let me read to you. Robert Costa of the Washington Post tweeted this today. On phone with Giuliani, who's tracking Mueller, just like everybody else in D.C., and with the TV on scrolling through, and he said he's talked to the president today, that it's like waiting for a baby to be born. If the report is good, I'll give out cigars. And then reporter Mike Levine tweeted this. General Bill Barr just walked past me inside the DOJ. I asked him, is today the day? And his response was a death stare before walking off without saying a word. It's probably like, I imagine I used to work at the DOJ Public Affairs Office. The number of phone calls they must be getting must be incredible. You know that world well.
Yeah, I can imagine what it's like. I'm sure all the reporters that cover the Department of Justice are waiting in the press room. Everyone there is sort of waiting with bated breath, a little bit like waiting for a pope to be announced. We're waiting for the white smoke to come out of the fifth floor of the Department of Justice. But do you think, though, that kind of like that white smoke, I mean, do you think that there are signs that it is actually wrapping up? Yeah, I do think it's wrapping up. I mean, whether that's going to happen today, whether it's next week, it's really unclear. And I'd be surprised if even people at Main Justice know. That really the only person that knows when that report is going to be done and delivered is Bob Mueller and his team. I think that the fact that several of Mueller's lawyers have left and gone back to Main Justice or going back to private practice, I think the fact that there's been no grand jury activity since the Roger Stone indictment are all telltale signs that this thing is wrapping up. But when it finally does and when that report goes to Bill Barr, that's anyone's guess. So
a lot of people talking today about this letter from last summer that Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, sent to Senator Grassley, basically saying that under policies and procedures at the DOJ should not reveal information about a criminal investigation if it's not necessary. It's kind of long, but I don't have a ton of time, and I want you to help explain to people that this is pretty standard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's in the Department of Justice manual that applies to all lawyers at the Department of Justice and the FBI, which is you do not publish or you do not release derogatory information about unindicted third parties. Now, what James Comey did, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do. And under this Department of Justice, specifically with Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, they've made an effort to make sure that they do not make that mistake again. So when this report goes to Barr, I suspect that there will be very little in there that eventually gets to Congress for the public or even Congress to get into that involves anything that wasn't contained in the indictments that we've already seen. And so what do you think about the House Democrats saying that, well, you know, regardless of what Mueller says, we're going to continue and relitigate this and reinvestigate for the next, 2 years? Yeah, I think that House Democrats and really the anti-Trump cartel have spent 2 years talking about Bob Mueller's integrity, Bob Mueller's professionalism, and they're right. And if this comes out and it does not take down President Trump as they've all hoped, and they continue along this path, I think they really risk becoming the tinfoil hat party here, and people are going to start to lose credibility. I think the public is going to tune them out, and ultimately that's going to inure to the benefit of Republicans in 2020. All right, Ian Pryor, always good to have an expert like you on. Thank you. Thanks for having me.